even the earth is a sphere. Like, it's rare that you see straight lines. It's not natural to us. So my name is Macole Lannaman. I'm from Sheffield, and I'm a youth worker. I do community work, working with young black and brown children that are getting excluded from school. On the side of that, I'm also doing a PhD, and I'm researching racism within education and how racism impacts the mental health and the well-being of black students.
I feel like today we're going to have a very interesting conversation.
Yes, sir.
You know, when you were talking.
That's finished, or is it about to finish now?
The main question I want to ask you, and we spoke about this earlier, is your work is quite political, but you yourself are not a politician. How does that work? Can you influence change in politics without being a politician?
Yeah, no, you're right. I wouldn't see myself as a politician. So my ancestry is Jamaican, and we have Jamaican people have this, or Rastafari has a word for politics. We call it politricks.
Okay.
Where you being involved with it, you're being part of that whole system in itself. So a part of my approach, I guess, mentally, is not trying to be part of this system. My approach is challenging this system, which is a hegemonic system that oppresses and minoritizes a group of people. And I guess that in itself can be political. So it's coming in kind of from a different angle, not working with kind of within the system, but trying to kind of dismantle the system.
People's aha moment, the light bulb moment where they feel like this is my work, where they look at a specific policy, in your case, education. What was your aha moment?
I would probably say there's not been a moment, but it's been a journey.
Okay.
So, we went to the same school, right? Went to a school that was based in very upper class side of Sheffield, and that was, you could definitely feel that as you went into the school. Whereas myself, I'm from a different part of Sheffield where the schools in my area aren't necessarily as successful academically as that school. So my mum sent me to a school south of Sheffield in order to try and give me the best opportunity as possible. And within that school, I was definitely challenged throughout the whole process. Was always made to kind of feel alienated and at times kind of inferior. Going to, people were reading books at night time and going to centre parks and on school holidays, and that wasn't my reality. So being there, I definitely felt alienated. But what I had realised is that as I kept my focus and navigated my way through that system, I was also able to kind of complete that system, which then led me to kind of come into a university step now. So coming to university, I remember my first day at university was in this university right here, Sheffield University. And I got into lecture theatre and I looked round and I just saw probably 90% of the class with like white middle-class females, Jack Wills hoodies, Starbucks, fresh MacBook Airs, and I'm here just in a tracksuit with my notebook. I don't even think I had a pen that day, yo. Okay. So that was there. I was like, oh, I don't belong here. But I thought, you know what, let me just try and, keep at it. Let me just see what I can do. And as time went on, I started to realize, a few assessments here, a few presentations there. I was like, you know what, I can do this thing, And then when that kicked in, I just felt like I went just to a different level now because I had that self-belief. I had that self-belief to the point where I was like, these people aren't even that clever. They just speak like they're clever, but they're not that clever. Like, they don't, they might be book smart, but they're not street smart, so they can't apply it to real life, you get me? Whereas I can. So when I started to clock this now, I kind of went through my university, undergrad, did the same thing with my master's and PhD now. When I've got to this point, it's like, this is the aha moment because it's the journey that I've been through to get here. And then whilst I'm in this position, I also acknowledge that I have a responsibility now to help those that come after me, and the younger generation that come after me, because in a sense, I'm kind of like a pioneer within this academic world, right? Coming from where I'm coming from, looking what I look, right? I'm a pioneer in terms of showing them that a face in this building that's not really been seen before, but I'm still keeping it real, still talk how I'm talking to you right now, how I'll talk to other people. So with that, I recognize I've got a responsibility to help the younger generation now because we're laying a path, and that's the aha.
You mentioned faces weren't welcoming people like ourselves prior. How does it feel coming in? I mean, you see that it's beautiful and whatnot.
Yeah, man.
But how do you feel inside?
You just get glimpses, man. Like, because it's also a space. It's like, yo, this is such a elite building, in both aspects. But it's such an elite building, like, and also being able to just come here. Like sometimes I just come here on my cracks, yo. Just come through and just bounce through like it's my office, fam. So even that in itself is empowering as well. You know, it's how you see it and your perception of it. So.
Facts. Just to stop you quickly, Macole, I have a question. How would you say education affects politics, and how important is the educational sector in politics?
Yeah, no, it's massive because we can even start from the place of education is power. It's a form of power that can get used. It's a way that you can get into certain spaces and get certain kind of opportunities. But then within that, as an institution, education, it's like a microcosm of society, of wider society, right? It's embedded within these institutions, such as kind of like we said, the curriculum and the values that are taught, the knowledge of what is real and who people are and where people come from, their history is all taught through a Eurocentric lens. And that in itself, at an institutional level, disadvantages Black and brown and racially minoritized students. So when they go back into that wider society, into that macrocosm, they then go into it at a disadvantage. It's a cycle.
Taught things that maybe benefits others rather than ourselves, but we're all taught the same thing, kind of thing.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
And like we kind of touched on before, it's not just the curriculum that has a part to play in this, it's the values, it's the approach. Policies, you can't have your hair in this kind of style. You can't use that kind of language. Teachers, not seeing someone that looks like you. Teachers that don't have that racial literacy to even be able to hold conversations about race at a certain level, to engage the whole classroom, and confront racism. There's a multitude of different reasons into why this education system can create inequalities in itself and then perpetuate them. The only time that we've been in these kind of spaces or speak about these kind of conversations, we've had to kind of like code switch.
Yeah.
So we'd have to switch up who we are. So it's kind of either this headspace or with this person. And we put on this outfit or it's this outfit. So what we're doing right now is showing that, I ain't code switching shit, like we belong in these spaces, you get me? So whether you like it or not, it's kind of you have to work around me, not me work around you. So.
Would you say then there's a barrier to entry to politics because the language they use is different to the language?
Yeah, most definitely, man. Like, if you can speak about something essentially in a different language, language is only directed towards a certain kind of people, a certain group of people, right? Who only understand that language. If you can do that, you can speak about things about other people as well, which impacts those other people, and they don't even have the consciousness to even understand what they're speaking about.
Agreed. That's interesting. Say there was this robot earpiece, AI earpiece, that automatically translates pieces of information to a person's language or a specific way they understand things. Do you think that in itself will completely change the political image?
I think it could, but then it goes back to who's creating that AI. Because if you've got, AI, it's artificial intelligence, but it's also computed and coded by a person. Okay. And when you look at kind of these tech spaces, it is predominantly white, straight men, so forcing their own opinions, their approaches, how they think about the world, and they put that into AI, which is then seen as being factual, scientific, neutral, non-biased, then that's where the power can then be manipulated and abused. The thing is with education, right? Like if you've got a teacher who is teaching something which, let's say, is racist, for example, right?
Yeah.
We can see that this is a teacher who, you know, it can come from his own viewpoints. It's coming from an individual. It could even be an opinion, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the power of AI is that it's seen, like I said, as being a neutral, scientific, objective point of knowledge. It's political because it's been created by a white majority. That's where the power in AI, like I said, it can get abused.
Yeah, definitely. So how would you combat that? Because whichever political party is in power, and you've mentioned previously that those in power set the curriculum reflects their views are flawed or inherently biased.
Yeah.
Therefore, the students internalize that.
Yeah.
And those students may go into STEM, start building AIs.
Yeah.
How would you combat that?
I guess it'd be the similar approach to how you would combat it at a school level, where you would try and get more diversity, cultural diversity and racial diversity within these spaces where like AI is created, because then they bring with them kind of their own background, their own cultures, and that's what diversifies it. That would probably be the best way of doing it. Different people from different backgrounds and different ways of thinking come together and contribute towards this.
I think we should sit down and speak about the work you've done.
Yeah, man. No problem, man.
Now, so Macole, we were just having a conversation, and I wanted to ask you on camera, what makes education political?
The education system is seen as being like truth, and everything from there is fact. So with that, what you teach, everyone believes that it's truth and facts, right? So if an education system is teaching ancestry, your history comes from being a slave, for example, or from just being inferior, you're going to internalize that, as we said, and you're going to take that on, and then you're going to kind of go around life with that inside your head, knowing that or thinking that that is truth. So that would be the first level. And then I would say on the level of access and opportunity, man. An education gets through doors, man. Like, this is how the system is. It gets through certain doors. So if you don't have an education, or you've got an education that is not viewed as being, you know, valuable in this society, then you're least likely to be able to find resources or find opportunities, get into certain jobs, get into certain fields, speak to certain kind of people because of your educational background. So in that sense, it is political.
Because we've just left the Wave, and it's a nice building, but you said this building's too clinical.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, what spaces do you like to do your work? Where do you feel most comfortable?
Yeah, I like to mix it up, you know. I'm kind of like a cat. You know, I like to be in different spaces. But I'd say the places that ground me the most is actually kind of in my own community. You know, the work that I'm doing, decolonial work, I like to do it within my own community because that's where it all started. That's kind of what made me who I am. And it reminds me, it's a reminder of why I'm doing this stuff, you know? It reminds me if I'm gonna go to the barbers, for example, I'm gonna whip out my laptop there and I'm hearing stories about, this happened on the weekend, or my man struggled with this, or like, it's a constant reminder of why I'm doing this work. It's my motivation. So I like to go into places that keep me grounded, but also a place where I feel safe, warm, and it's a place where I don't feel that my imagination or my creativity can be confined. Facelift Barbers on the Wicker in Sheffield, and yeah man, this is the place where I've been getting haircuts since maybe 4 years old, man. Getting cuts here. And it's a real special place because it's a place where I've always come, and I come with my dad. My granddad's come here, he gets his haircuts as well. And a place where I've kind of just, you know, been part of my community, and I've learned what it means to be around different men and different communities. So Yeah, man. When we look at the barbershop, like I said, a barbershop is a special place, especially on a therapeutic space for men's mental health. And it's a place where black men go to get haircuts and to look after themselves. It's a form of therapy. So what I wanted to do is be able to bring that space to different places. Black men aren't as likely to go and get mental health support from professionals as such. There's a stigma behind it, but also there's racism that's embedded in that. So I wanted to try and create this hub that we have of a barbershop and bring it to people so they can still get that form of therapy. So we hosted at the University of Sheffield, and we brought in 3 kind of local barbers from Sheffield to the university to give out free haircuts. So free haircuts for the students and also the community as well. And it was just kind of an event to celebrate the black barbershop as a healing space and also raise awareness about black men's mental health. And yeah, it was really successful. We had a lot of positive feedback, a good turnout. And the barbershop is a space where men and women come for reasoning and talk about political things, what's going on right now in the world, what's happening in football, what's going on in music, what's going on in our own our own lives as well. So it's a place where it's a safe space where men can come, which is quite rare. Men can come and speak about what's going on in their everyday lives and reason about it and speak about it with other men and other like-minded people.